Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Grayboardgamer here with Arkham Noir, a game that I've been trying to get a copy of for a long time. And now that I've been able to secure a copy, I've been playing several sessions and wanted to share it with you. So let's get this box open and get it set up. Walpurgis Night, May's Eve, is always a nightmare in which haunted Arkham. There are bad doings, and a child or two frequently goes missing. This year, Miskatonic University students engaged in occult studies have been turning up dead. Arkham Police, in deference to your unusual expertise, have asked for your help to get to the root of the matter. Time is of the essence. After Walpurgis Night, the trail will grow cold, and the culprits will retreat to the shadows until the next Witches' Sabbat, when the next cycle of deaths will begin. As private investigator Howard Lovecraft, you will investigate events based on the stories The Dreams in the Witch House, The Thing on the Doorstep, and The Unnameable. Inside the box of Arkham Noir Case 1, The Witch Cult Murders, all we have is cards. There's no other components aside from an instruction pamphlet. The first thing we're going to do is take these 4 reference cards and place them on the table according to the instructions. And we're going to use this side without the asterisk because we're going to play a standard difficulty game. We have our 4 reference cards in place, and we'll talk about each of these cards as they come up during the gameplay. Next, we're going to take our victim cards, 6 of them, give them a quick shuffle. We're going to draw 1 at random, and this is going to go back into the box and be unused. And the 5 remaining cards will go over here to the right of reference card 1. And you can see on the card it says the victim cards, and it has the arrow that tells you where to place it. This is all detailed in the instructions also. Now we'll draw 2 of those victim cards and place them here to represent our open cases. Our first victim card is Azanath Waite. She's a student. And Frank Elwood, another student. And that will leave 3 victim cards in the stack. And that's important because if we ever run out of victim cards and we're required to draw one and there's none left, we lose the game. Next we have the bulk of the cards, which are the clue cards. We're going to give these a shuffle and place them in this space right here. I gave them a good mix, but I'll do another quick shuffle on camera so you can be sure that everything is well mixed. And we'll place that right here, and that will be our draw stack. And appropriately, there is a rainstorm, a really heavy rainstorm right now. Good mood setting. I can hear the thunder too. So if you hear that in the background, that's actually happening. I didn't just add that in. Next, we'll draw 5 cards from the clue stack and place them from right to left to create the leads row. Shot in the head 6 times. Complex angles leading outside. Miskatonic University Library. Daniel Upton, architect. And finally, disturbing personality change. The first card here on the left will be referred to as the first lead. Next we'll draw 3 cards, and that will be our hand. And we have small handprints, irresistible pull, and Shoggoth. And finally we have our professional contact card, which is double-sided, and there's a different power at the bottom of each side, and we'll place that here to the left of our open cases. And I know there's a lot of symbology going on, and I haven't explained any of it yet, but I'm going to do all that in the context of the game. The objective of the game is to score 5 different types of clue cards with the puzzle attribute before the game ends. And you can see here on complex angles leading outside in the upper left, you see that puzzle attribute, that puzzle piece symbol. So our goal is to get 5 of those, and they have to be 5 different types of clue cards. And if you look at the top of that same card, complex angles leading outside, you see that skull at the top. That is a threat type clue. And there are other symbols, 6 in total. We have the symbols representing person of interest, artifact, evidence, location, and monster. So we have to collect 5 of these puzzle pieces that have 5 different clue symbols on them. It is not easy to do. Actually, I have not won a session of this game yet, but I didn't want to wait till I won one to film it. It's fun either way. I enjoyed every time that I played through and failed. The gameplay consists of 2 phases. We have the action phase and then the maintenance phase. In the action phase, you must take the first lead card and perform 1 of 5 actions. If we look on the turn summary card that comes with this, it lists the 5 actions that you can take. And again, you have to choose only one of them to do with that first lead card. You can take it in hand, play it on an open case, discard it, and play a clue card from your hand to an open case, discard it and close an open case, or discard it and pass. Let's pull this first lead card out and go over again the actions we could take. I could take it into hand, but you have a hand limit of 3. So if I were to place this one in my hand, I would have to discard one of mine to the discard stack. I could play it on an open case, and the way that I can do that is I have to match the symbols on the left side of my first lead card to at least a symbol on the right of either my first card in my open case or any other cards that are here, whatever's on the far edge. For example, I could play this here on Frank Elwood because these symbols match. So if we look at the Frank Elwood card, that top symbol on the right side is the interview, investigative technique. And below that, the book symbol is the research investigative technique. Now my disturbing personality change card has the interview symbol. And since both cards have the interview symbol, I could play it here on the open case. When you play it on the open case, you have to do what is in this box here at the bottom. If it is in black, like this one is, you must perform it. If it's brown in color, like some of these cards up here, it's up to you. It's voluntary. You can do it if you want to, but you don't have to. I could discard it and play one of my cards to an open case. I could discard it to close an open case. In order to close an open case, an investigation must contain at least 5 different types of clue cards. The victim card here is not one of those. And by 5 different types of clues, that refers to the person of interest, threat, artifact, evidence, location, and monster clue types. Or I could just discard it and pass completely. Another thing to keep in mind is discarding. If you discard a card and it has this hourglass symbol like the disturbing personality change card has, then it would go to the time penalty, which is shown here on reference card 4. So it would go over here to the right. Anytime a card is placed in the discard stack for any reason, and it has that hourglass symbol on it, it then goes to the time penalty. When we get 5 cards here in the time penalty location, the time penalty will happen, and we'll go over that when it does. I have to decide what my action is going to be with this first lead card. I believe I'm going to play it here on the Frank Elwood case. We'll put that here in the line of investigation. And now we have to do this symbol because it's in black. And if we look at the bottom of the disturbing personality change, we see that symbol, which means perform a stability check. In order to do that, we take the top card from the draw stack and we look in the bottom right, and this card is an old burying ground. If we had that stability symbol there, then we would place it here next to the stability penalty. And if we get stability penalties up to 5 or more, when it's time to check the stability penalty area, if we have 5 or more there, game is over, we lose. We've gone insane. But in this case, the old burying ground does not have that symbol, nor does it have the time symbol or the hourglass. If it did have the hourglass, when I discard it, it would have to go to the time penalty space. That's the end of our action phase. We now go into the maintenance phase. First we'll check victory condition, see if we have 5 or more of the puzzle clue cards of 5 different types here, and of course we don't. Check the stability penalty area, we don't have 5 there. Check the time penalty area, we don't have 5 there. And now we'll refill the leads row. Everything gets shifted to the left to fill any gaps, and then the next card is drawn. And in this case we have Meadow Hill, and it is placed in the empty space. And this is a fairly good start for us because we have 2 puzzle pieces out already, and they are 2 different cards. We have one that is the threat type and one that is the location type. But you can see, for example, on top of complex angles leading outside, above that puzzle symbol is a lock. In order for us to play that card on an investigation, we have to have a key down for each one of those locks we're going to place down. In this case, Miskatonic University Library, the second card here, has that key symbol. So we're definitely going to want to play that one before we attempt to place a locked card down. Also in our hand, Irresistible Pull also has a key symbol. Another symbol that we'll see every now and then, like in the card that's in our hand here, the Shoggoth, has that 3 symbol in the upper left hand corner. That means there must be a minimum of 3 cards already in the investigation row in order for us to play that. And it's that simple. That's how the game plays. It is very difficult to get all the parts moving in the right places and actually win. Like I said, I haven't done it yet, but let's give it a shot. Next, our first lead card is Daniel Upton Arquette, and he has that interview symbol on the left. I do not have any interview symbols available here, so I could not play him on either one of these open investigations. I could, however, discard him, and he's a good card if I have to discard one to do so because it does not have a time penalty on it. Before I play that card, let's talk about our professional contact. Dr. Armitage, the librarian. You can see he's got 2 sides to his card. The first side has the key. Anytime during the game as a free action, you can use the card effect listed on either side just one time, because then you remove your professional contact from the game. It's a one-time use. On the key side, if you use it, you can play a clue card with the locked symbol as if you had a card with a key in the row here. And then on the back side, you see the exchange symbol at the bottom. That means I can exchange a card from my hand with a card from the time penalty area or the stability penalty area. Again, it's one or the other, and it's a one-time use. I don't want to take Daniel Upton into my hand. I can't play him on an open investigation, so it is going to get discarded. Now, do I want to play a card from my hand or just pass? I can't close a case because I don't have a case with enough clues on it. I'm going to choose to play a card from my hand, thanks to my discard, and it has the collection symbol, of which is that magnifying glass, which matches the one here next to disturbing personality change. And now we have 2 different symbols, or 2 different clue types, the threat and the evidence symbol. So we're on our way to getting to 5 or more different symbols. There are only 6 symbols in the game, and some of them, there are only limited numbers of cards, or very limited numbers of them. If we look at the reference card, we can see that person of interest, evidence, location, and threat. There's a total of 10, 9, 11, and 10 of those. There's plenty of those cards. But the artifacts and the monsters are very limited. Only 6 of the artifacts and 4 of the monsters. So we want to use those sparingly and intelligently. And you can see of the puzzle pieces, there is only 1 evidence, 1 threat, 1 artifact, and 1 monster. Again, we have to get 5 puzzle pieces of 5 different types. So we have to be very smart about which ones we collect and how we do it. And there are not that many keys either. 8 total, and again, those are spread out fairly evenly. None of the monster cards have a key on them. We can now move into the maintenance phase, and we haven't met victory conditions or stability or time penalty conditions. So we're going to refill the leads row. And the next card will be Superstitious Rumors. And you don't refill your hand when you use it. That leaves an empty spot, which comes into play often if you have something you can't play but you don't want to discard it because it has a time penalty on it. You can take it into your hand if you have openings. Next up, we have Miskatonic University Library. On the left of it, we have the research symbol. That does match on Asenath Waite on her investigation, and we will play that because we want to get a key into play. And that brown symbol we see at the bottom of the Miskatonic University Library card represents take 1 card from the lead row. It's brown, so it's voluntary. So I could take one of these and place it into my hand. At this time, I'm not going to do that. And I'll just end my turn there, or my action phase, with placing that on an investigation. We will shift everything down. And next we have Unsettling Phone Call. Our first lead, complex angles leading outside. It's one of our puzzle pieces, and it does have the research symbol, which matches the other side of the Miskatonic University Library. So we will play it right there, and we can, because we have the key symbol already in the investigation row. That symbol at the bottom means discard 1 card from the leads row. So we have to discard 1. These 3 cards all have a time penalty symbol on them. That's not always a bad thing, because the time penalty, whenever that happens, it'll bring out other victim cards. But we don't want to do that too quick, because if we run out of victim cards and we're required to draw one and it's empty, we'll also lose. So we have to do it and time it properly. I like to look at the symbols. We have surveillance here, research, research, surveillance. We have 2 surveillance sides here, so I probably want to keep those in play. Again, I'm going to incur a time penalty. I don't want to get rid of the puzzle piece, so I'll choose to discard Superstitious Rumors. It would be discarded, but it has the hourglass time penalty symbol on it, so it will go into the time penalty area. That concludes the action phase. Now we go into the maintenance phase and we shift everything over. And now we will fill these 2 empty spaces from left to right. We have the cellar and Pit of the Shogus. Our first lead is shot in the head 6 times. Now at the top we have the threat symbol. We already have that in both of our investigation rows. So that would be doubling up. And that would be okay here because, and this is jumping ahead, when you close a line of investigation and close a case, the only way to score the puzzle pieces over to here, which is the big picture area, is if you take it out of the investigation, but you can only take it out if once you take it out, there are 5 or more symbols still remaining that are different clue types. So if I were to play this one here and got 3 more types, I could pull this out because I would have a backup card in that line of investigation that had that same threat symbol. Or I could just get 6 different symbols and then you can just pull it out anyway because I would still leave 5 different ones behind. But since there are only 6 symbols total, that's difficult but possible. And there's a bonus if you do that. And I will choose to play it here. We have the matching surveillance symbols, but I have to discard a card from the leads row, and I'm going to choose to discard unsettling phone call because they all have a time penalty, so I can't avoid that. But it has the threat symbol, which I have plenty of already, so that's not really a concern. So we will discard it, which will incur a time penalty due to the hourglass symbol. So we now have 2 cards in the time penalty area. We shift everything down, draw some new leads. We got the Necronomicon.